How's it going, everybody? Welcome tonight to Oxygen Not Included. This is a colony sim. It's made by the same developers that did the Don't Starve Together, or I forget what the full name is. That series, the cartoonish kind of survival game. Their art style is very, very specific, but this is essentially the same thing, except instead of a like open world survival game like the Don't Starve games. This is actually a colony sim survival, out in space. So you essentially, I'm going to start a new one. Like I said, played a lot of this game, but I'm very bad at it. So I'm going to do a classic no sweat run, and then you can kind of pick from which asteroid you want to start on, and you can kind of cycle through these, kind of look at some of the traits that come with them. The story traits don't change much, or you can change them. I think you come over here, but I don't really mess with that too much. The farthest I've ever gotten in this game was to actually launch a rocket and land on another planet or another asteroid. But like I said, I'm very bad at it, so I think that's actually a good one. So we can see on here there's a lot of slime molds. And I'm going to go ahead and let you know now, because the game won't tell you as you kind of go. You have to really just kind of learn it. Slime can be refined into fertilizer and algae, which you use to create oxygen. As the game is obviously very, very aptly called, Oxygen Not Included, you have to produce oxygen in order to keep your colonists alive. So it's also metal rich. You use metal for a lot of the wiring, power management, and then a lot of the later stages for refined metal, as far as like building your rockets, some of the other more fancier machines that you will eventually research. But you start on your planet, and they give you a random 3 duplicants, they call them, colonists, and they all have their own traits, their own pros and their own cons. So we can see here we got Nisbet, Abe, and Frankie. And so when I'm doing these, if I'm just kind of playing for goofs or whatever, then I would just start this here. But I actually kind of want to make a 100 day or 100 cycle kind of experience here. So, I don't see that. Digging 10 is really, really good. The Night Owl is great if you have a lot of duplicates and you have multiple shifts, because then you can have a daytime shift and a nighttime shift, and that's when they kind of really get... you can keep your colony kind of going, because starting off, if they're all in the same shift, then you're just going to have downtime where nothing is, either being, dug, repaired, built, supplied, that sort of thing. But the Ugly Crier is really nice, because that's basically the least harmful stress reaction. There is a stress mechanic, so if they're in an environment where they can't breathe well, or it's too cold, or it's too hot, or they're injured, or they get attacked, their stress levels will go up. Once it gets maxed out, they have a stress reaction. So Frankie over here, which I can go ahead and tell you, I'm probably just going to re-roll this out. They're destructive. So when he has a stress reaction, he starts breaking equipment. And that can really kind of throw you for a loop if you're not watching. So I just refresh that one. We got an Ugly Crier again. I'm not a big fan of taking them with Biohazard, just because... the slime lung that most time you will end up getting is kind of a pain in the ass. So I usually just kind of end up cycling through these until I find one that I really, really like. We have our digger. It's kind of nice to have multiple diggers, but I am going to get us a builder. Some more Ugly Cry, that's good. Binge Eater's not too bad. Vomiter will produce polluted water, which can kind of mess your system up if they pollute your aquifer or whatever water source you're using. You'll see that when we get in there. So she's germ resistant, but can't do medicine. That's fine. We're not going to care about that right now. Later on, that might be an issue. We'll worry about having medical when we get down the road that far. But she's a good builder, so we're going to go with that. And then this one, I'm going to leave this one as a random, and we'll just kind of go until we get something that we like. I'm not even really looking at the interests, honestly. Banshee is another one that's not terrible, but it can cause other dupes stress to go up if they're screeching nearby. Just like the vomiting can spread illness in their vomit. So supplying rocketry, digging. So their interests aren't great, but it's not terrible. So let's see here. What are we gonna call it? We're gonna call it. That's kind of hard to beat. I like Super Duper Friends, but let's go next one. The Coughing Cantaloupe. Perfect. What a terrible, ridiculous name that is. That'll be great. All right, so let's embark. So they pop out of the little pod thing here. The asteroid we call home has collided with an anomalous planet, decimating our colony. Rebuilding it is of the utmost importance. I've detected a new cluster of material-rich planetoids in nearby space. If I can guide the duplicants through the perils of space travel, we could build a colony even bigger and better than before. So this is where basically just management starts, which, as you guys know me, I'm a very, very bad manager, hence why I'm very bad at this game. So basically what you're going to have them do is excavate. So they're going to dig out a place, dig this side out, and we're going to harvest this food. And so this, as they dig this becomes a buildable material. So now that you'll see these little icons like blink and flash as new things become available. So like I can come over here and build a cot, which helps them to sleep. Oh, but so this one kicked up, and it's up here now. Doesn't have it's an unreachable dig, but it's also an invalid building location. So we can't build that one there. So we got to cancel it and throw that one there. So they're going to be digging. And there's a ton of different materials in this. So you've got sandstone, there's dirt, there's copper ore, so there's a metal. We got coal that you can use for fuel, as well as other craftable things. We've got oxalite, which produces oxygen, but then as it produces it and as it gets consumed, this erodes away. So eventually this will be all gone. Just like these up here as they kind of get used. Over here we got algae. That's what we're going to use to run our O2 units, whatever our preferred method of the diffuser is the kind of the base one that you get. And each one of them has their own requirements, that has their own specialties, their own benefits. And if you can kind of figure them out, in the colony, the planet that you inherit, which is all randomly generated, by the way. So this is not going to look anywhere similar to kind of anywhere else that I might build. And I usually run this on 3x just so that they can kind of do their thing. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, instead of canceling that and moving it down, I'm just going to have them put blocks in, so now they have a new foundation, just like this over here. And you can build levels, and there's a ladder that can kind of go between. And then once you start spreading out, then you'll start getting into issues with like commuting distance. Ceiling collapse. So that was sand. So this right here is sand, and as long as it's got material that's underneath it that's holding it, it'll be fine. But once that goes away, then it falls through, and you can end up with, see how all that sand fell down into this? So he's stuck now. Oh no, he's not. They just ran out of stuff to do. Cool. So what we're gonna do, and like I said, I'm very bad at this game, so we're just gonna do that. The thing that I have found to be a good plan for them is, eventually we're going to want to try to make it to space. So we need to dig our way out of the colony, essentially. And you can kind of go, if I'm not mistaken, you can go up and down. The sides, you'll end up hitting like a bedrock kind of material, which is literally just the walls of the map. Here we got sand. So sand fell down in because they're digging. And that can actually block your dupes off so that they can't climb to where they're supposed to be, or if they've, navigated over to a spot and then the sand fell through because of like another dupe digging or whatever was happening. They can get stranded, they can suffocate and die, and it just becomes a bit of a challenge because they're not very bright. They don't tend to really do much for themselves. Now, I like to do 4 tiles tall just because it gives me enough room for, like, if I do ventilation later on, or I want to hang, like decorations or flower pots or something to lighten the mood, help the decor, then I'll do that. But that's kind of my normal disposition when it comes to them is 4 in between. And then I leave it open on both sides. That way I can run Eventually, you can get like a fire pole that they can slide up. It's like slide down on, just to increase their traveling speed in at least that direction. And it looks like that's some. Yep, so some uranium ore. That's good. This all looks like just mostly clean. And there's different biomes. So like this is like the starter biome. It's basically nothing ridiculous. It's nothing super unsafe. It's good temperature. Over here, it's like you can see it start to get warm. This looks like a, yeah. So this is all chlorine gas. Well, and some hydrogen here, but you know, so we know that there's heat over here in this phosphorite. Phosphorite is also something useful. You can use that for, I believe it's fertilizer making. But as you can tell, like you'd have to go through and listen to all this, and that the tips and tricks that they give you are really very thin. This is definitely a game that makes you, you know, you're gonna have to learn this for yourself. Oh, that's a lot of stuff, and I don't know if we want to go in there. We might want to go around. I'll let them keep building that, and then I might just have them come over here, because at some point we're gonna want to mine all this algae anyways. What I usually like to do, if I go here, you can set the resources that you want to keep track of over here. That way you can kind of know on the fly what's coming. Or, you know, like an issue you're going to run into. So I usually do that. And there's not really much else right now. Once we start getting slime, I'll usually have that one on there, and then fertilizer. Just so I can kind of know where I am at. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, I do think we want that. We want that uranium at some point, but I think for right now, that's just going to be a waste of effort. So instead, we're going to come over here. We're going to go ahead and build this. Ooh, that might not be good. Hold on, let's cancel that. And anyways, this ends up becoming a lot of what you are doing, because you want to get the materials that you need, but at the same time, you also need to be able to explore and kind of figure out the direction you need to go. Like if I go here, that's not going to work. We could take you out and then just go ahead and do that. Because at some point, once we can get plumbing situated, I'm going to strip all these outhouses out, and you'll actually have running water. See how all the sand is now built up over here? Like that can be an issue. Oh, they're all using the bathroom. Okay, so they're on downtime now. So everything is going to have to take place after they go to sleep. Or after they wake up, in reality, because they're not going to... Oh, there's still chlorine there. I wonder if that honestly makes a difference to even do that then. Okay, hold on. Let's do this. If we just deconstruct you, and instead, we can come over here. How about that? And there we go. And if we come this way, well, we might as well just take this to the, yeah, okay. I do a lot of talking to myself in this, so don't mind my insanity. But it is kind of really nice to, you know, set a bunch of priorities. Like this is going to take them a while to basically manage that. And then while they're doing that, well, actually, I need to go ahead and do this. And then we can also do that, so I know where my stops are. They're going to come in and start blasting away, and while they're doing that, we're going to plan the research station. So basically, the only way to get improvements on any of your stuff is to research it, and that brings its own different set of issues. So what we are going to do, actually I need to open up the other side. So now I've got all these extra projects, you know, that I've got them working on. What I really need to do is get this all opened up down here. One, for I can get the mealwood. Although we might have some mealwood seeds. Yeah, there's some up here, so that'll be fine. Once we start the farm, we can deal with that. I'm gonna go ahead and chop all of these out. This one is gonna need that. And so we've already got our research station up. That was immediate. That doesn't take a whole lot of time. The bigger issue is that we're going to have to take some of our metal, and we're going to build our first power plant, power generation room, something along those lines. Yeah, I think they call it a power plant. There's different room benefits for, like, as you build stuff. Power plant, yeah. So I haven't quite figured out how to use the power plant yet with the little piece of equipment that comes in there. So we're on cycle 3, and we got a new blueprint. So you can come in here and you can get a new duplicate. So you got a binge eater and a vomiter. Good supplying on, wow, that's really good supplying. But then, requires light to sleep, critter aversion, building impaired. So it comes with a lot of issues. And then it ends up becoming more consequential to take a new dupe because they don't bring a whole lot to the table. They're going to eat more of your food. They're going to consume more of your oxygen. That's just kind of sucks. So let's keep going here. And I was telling you guys about the physics system. So just like in real life, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide have different densities. So here in the game, carbon dioxide's heavier. It sinks. So you end up with these pits, these wells, where your carbon dioxide will drop. And they can't spend too much time in there, and their stress levels will actually go up the longer that they're in there. Obviously, if they're stranded in there, then they die, and then who gives a shit about the stress levels, but you know what I mean. I know that looks crazy, but when we upgrade later on to the better batteries, it'll take up 2 spots, so I like to double, put these in by pairs now. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'll be enough. We might do a couple more. No, we won't. It's fine because we're gonna strip it out as soon as we get the upgraded stuff, anyways. So, and what I used to do was run the wire through the bricks and then up into the individual units, and that's fine early on. Not very efficient though, and then later on when you go to upgrade them to like the heavier gauge wire, so that you don't start damaging your equipment with how much power you're using, then it becomes a problem. So I think instead I'm just going to zip you right through here, and then come up here, and we'll just go over there like that. That way, once I get my switches, I can drop switches on here and disconnect the manual generators, and hopefully we can find some sort of a vent, which is not always the easiest thing. So there's different vents that you kind of have to uncover, and some of them can be very, very catastrophic to your play, to your like playthrough of that specific setup. This iteration. Oh, they made it all the way to the bottom. Cool. All right. So now that we've got that, let's go ahead and open you up. And let's go ahead and do this, because we know we're going to need it anyways. Now, hopefully they don't drown while they're down there, because now they've got a bunch of distance to cover. And you could very well, like, getting to 100... why is this? Oh, it's unreachable. Oh, getting to 100 cycles is not necessarily... Oh, we're out of food. Uh-oh. Oh, that's why. I figured that disappeared real quick. So see how they were all then cut off? They wouldn't have been able to get around this. They don't think for themselves as far as like, hey, I could just, jump and, I might get hurt, but at least I'll survive. They won't. They'll just sit there and starve to death and pee on themselves and then die. So it's a lot of experience with that. It's just kind of ridiculous when it happens that way. Especially when you start, and this might just be my playthrough. Oh, there's some lead there too. Oh, that is really not good. Can we make that work? I don't know that this is the smartest play, but I don't ever make the smart play anyway, so fuck it. Alright. Let's see if we can't take just that. There. That might be enough space. I don't know. Alright. So we'll let them work on that. They're not going to be able to get through it this. This is oh, it's granite. That's why. So, alright. As we go through it, as the duplicants do more stuff, they'll gain skills. And you can come in here and you can pick which skills they have. And these also contribute to their morale. So if you take something that they really enjoy, it'll give them a boost. If you take something that they really don't like field research, this would be way down. You'd have to unlock these other ones first. But see the huge impact that has on his morale. I'm fairly certain that predisposes them to being more stressed, but sometimes you don't always see it. And some, like if you have a really long, 200 cycle playthrough, you might have dupes that get close to maxing out all of the levels. So I don't quite know exactly how that's supposed to work, but we make do. We got fertilizer, that's right. Okay. Well, they're going to work on, I guess, the aquifer down here, and then we can open this up. This water's going to flow out and come down here, so we're going to just add that more to the aquifer. Aquifer? I don't know how to talk. There we go. But I gotta hope they also don't drown in here. So you can see their breath running out, and then they'll kind of try to run back before it gets too low, and then catch their breath, and then they'll go make another trip. And you can see the stress starting to come up. Hassan is stressed 2%. And it looks like Steve just caught hypothermia, maybe. Yep. Great. Fantastic. And a lot of the cures for stuff, there's not really a cure. It's just rest them, and you can make medicines later on if you have the right materials. It's kind of it's not kind of, it's very much a pain in the ass. I really don't like the way that's going to fall. That's okay. I don't even know why I'm bothered to put those over here. At some point I'll have to clean all this out so that I can actually make use of these levels between the aquifer and the civilization, because at some point we want to have a pump down here that's going to pull from the lowest part, and then we're going to run a filter, and then at least one water purifier, which we will have to then research. So there's a whole kind of chain to it. Like I said, I would like to take this to 100 cycles if the dupes survive that long, but it's not all going to be, in one sit down, that's for sure. So we're going to make this kind of a running thing for as long as Marie, Steve, and Hassan can survive. We'll see how it goes. But literally my last time playing this, I flew a dupe to another planet, crashed it, had never done it before, so didn't realize that, that's kind of a one-way trip. Didn't bring enough materials, and then they starved to death on the outside of the other planet. But I was excited, so I was happy to have gotten that kind of an accomplishment. So, all right, we're opening back up to the main room. Oh, she's trapped. Yeah, because she's an idiot. There you go. So they're going to go back for their downtime. I really feel like this used to be faster, but I guess it's not now. And we're going to have to also think about... Oof. I wish I had an oxyfern.